guys, and welcome back to Juicy Pixel, my day in the life vlog tutorial series maybe. Today we're going to go over some of my art supplies which I use for people sketching and creating illustrative work back home in the home studio. This video is solely going to be focused on my art supplies. That's all we're going to talk about today. But just before we get into it, I just want to say how important it is for you to focus on other types of mediums, even if they're not part of your professional career. We do need some inspiration in life sometimes, and focusing on one creative medium can burn you out with ideas, so it's always nice to explore other possibilities and test out your other skills and maybe try and bring those into your creative bubble at some point. But like I said in the intro, we're going to go through my art supplies. I've, over the past few months, been fine-tuning different types of pens and colouring instruments to worm down what works best with me. So I'm going to go through my art supplies, tell you what has been a success and what has been an absolute failure for me, and show you my current sketch pens and pencils that I take out with me, because I do people sketching, so I like to do that in the week or when I have downtime. So this is my my leather sketch sort of like pencil case, I guess. This is bought as a gift for me. I've got my initials actually engraved on here. If the camera would like to focus, let me see if I could focus it. I'm not going to go through it all because there is a lot here, but I'm going to go through what I chose to be my go-to pens and pencils. And yeah, let's just break down the entire process. I've got a number of sketchbooks here. This is the one I've been using quite often. It helps create different types of skin tones, which is quite cool. So yeah, this is a toned sketchbook. This one is from Paper Chase, which is a well-known brand in the UK. You can get cheaper varieties here. I just so happen to have one, so I just used it. But it brings out some really good skin tones where you don't have to put that much time and effort into. I'll show you an example here. Let's just flick through. Let's find someone who I've drawn which has got a decent skin tone to them. So here, this would be an example of something I drew outside of an actual person. And the skin tone works quite well here. You don't have to put too much effort in. The white area on his head is probably way over the top, the shine, but I'm learning as I'm going along here. This is a sketchbook. The work is nothing official. So the point here is just to use the books to improve my art skills. So let's start off with what I actually use and why I use those. When I'm out and about and I'm sketching people, I don't take too many pens and pencils with me. The main reason is I like to capture compositions of people. And when I get home, if I actually like that composition, I might go ahead and colour it in. That's the entire point here. Might colour it in, might not, but it's all about capturing real life compositions of people. When I first started people sketching, I bought this mechanical pencil here. Let me just zoom in for you guys. There we go. So this is a Pilot and it's called the Shaker. So yeah, this pencil is called the Shaker. Once the ink goes down, you literally shake it. Okay, so yeah, by shaking this, it allows the lead to come out and you can start drawing. It's not too bad. It's a bit wide for me, which I discovered after some time that the pen is actually, yeah, a bit wide. Can you zoom in, your silly camera, or focus? So yeah, I ended up throwing this in the like back pile. If I really wanted a mechanical pencil, I would come back to it, but yeah, it was good to start off with, but it didn't really give me the comfort I was looking for. So I ended up buying a pack of mechanical pencils. These were literally £1 for like, I think there was 5 in total. So I got better results for this. Then I decided I wanted something thin like this, but maybe of a better build quality. So from here, I moved on to, which is a Staedtler Mars Micro. This pencil rather, it's got a very high quality build to it. It does come with an eraser, already part of it, which I don't use because the erasers you get with these mechanical pencils, there's just no point. But right down to the very nib, it is metal through and through, and that's why I like this pencil so much. The actual grip on the pencil is a lot better too, so I can focus more on just drawing rather than adjusting my hand the way I hold my pencils. If you're aware of Faber-Castell, they actually produce their own mechanical pencils too. Focus please. So here we go. This pencil cost around about the same price as the Stapler. It is thin, also like the Stapler, and has very similar build. The only difference I can see with this is that the grip on the Stapler is rubber, is added. The grip on here is actually part of the case in itself. So there's a hexagonal sort of shape to the end here. I don't think my camera's picking it up well. I'll probably take both of them with me with my supplies now, and obviously choose which one I feel necessary, because they're very similar build pen. So yeah, I've got the micron pens here. I've got two of them, which I use for outlining. The one is 0.4, the size of the actual liner itself, and the second one is 0.2, which is the size of the liner itself. So this is great for outlining illustrations. If I do fancy doing illustrations which have a varied stroke, that would be the outline, I would use this, which is a Pental brush pen, which is also commonly used amongst the illustrative art community. It's got a very nice fine brush nib to it. I've noticed a lot of people who do the modern art, the modern sort of handwriting, use these pens too, so they are great. Ideally, you can use them for art or draw, or just writing, cursive writing yourself. So yeah, this is actually made and brought from Japan and sold in the UK, so this is a great pen. I like to have two skin tones that come with me. I've got two Pro markers here. Pro markers are one of many other types of brands you can get. You can get Copic markers. There's loads of other ones, but these are my go-tos. These are my two skin tones. One is very pale, as you can see. This one is almond, and this one is peach. So yeah, once I get a composition together, I would put a skin tone on it. You can make areas of the skin darker just by adding extra layers of the same color. So over time you can build up shadowed areas within an individual's face, and there we go from then. So once I colored in the individual, after doing the outline, I like to use two different types of pens for creating light effects on the skin. I've also got a pencil for that as well, but I'll show you in a moment. So one of my pens I use is this. It's a Uniball Signo, which is a white pen. These are very cheap to get hold of. They're very effective too when you're drawing over markers or existing colored pencils. Another pen I use is this Uni Paint marker. It's got a very large nib on it. So it's got a very large nib on it. It's good for doing very large areas of white. The pigment is very potent too, so you don't have to go over it a number of times where you do that with other markers. I also like to have 3 other pencils with me. They are quite waxy, so it's up to your personal preference. The pigment in these pencils is very strong, so they do come up on dark card to light card. I use white if I want to put a blemish on someone's skin or fabric or metal. And I sometimes like to sketch in red or blue, so these come with me too. like I said, very potent, so you have to be very light with these on paper. So as you can see right here, this is what I take out with me. One thing I used to do is take a bunch of markers with me for colouring in, but I found myself colouring in way too often when there were plenty of people out to sketch. So now when I'm out, I only sketch for composition and I colour when I get home. When I do come home though with an illustration, sometimes I do go over it with the pro markers, or sometimes I do a watercolour wash. These are my Winsor & Newton watercolours. I purchased these on eBay for £5. These do retail for about £30 and upwards, so I did get a good bargain for £30. Along with this came a watercolour brush. So you literally put water inside this by popping the end off. You can put this in your case and you could do your watercolours on the fly, which is quite cool. So this would be a secondary alternative I would take with me if I did want to colour while I was out people sketching, but most of the time I preferably do it when I get home now. As well as this, I've got a selection of Stapler pencils, colour pencils. These pencils are very harsh on paper. They are notorious for tearing holes in paper. This is a hybrid gel pen, it's a white pen, so if I'm feeling that the Uniball pen is struggling to actually get onto the paper or the surface I'm using, I'll try the alternative white. But most of the time this pen does come trumps if I'm adding white. As well as this, I have free backup watercolor brushes here, the same as the smaller one. You can just pop the end off and put water in them. Some of these actually have water already in them now, as you can see. So you literally just pop the end off the brush. You can add that straight onto your watercolor palette and start coloring while you're outside. These are very handy if you want to color on the move, and obviously use watercolors, which can be quite messy. So these are really sealing the gap between having to have a more professional setup where you can just be out, sat on a bench, coloring the scenery you've just illustrated, which is quite cool. My secondary liner pens I use are Staplers. I bought these off eBay again for £5. This was in a pack of 8. There are more around the place somewhere. These range in the size from 0.05, which is very small, up into 0.8, which is a very thick outline. So if you're doing a large illustration, then the 0.8 would come in handy. If you're doing standard size illustrations, maybe in a sketchbook like this, then I wouldn't go as far as the 0.8. I'd probably go as far as the 0.5, which is quite a standard size. But yeah, these are great. They're just as good as the microns, the Fivevr microns. The only difference I've noticed is that the microns sometimes wash out when you're doing a ink wash over the top. The Staplers do not wash out with water being applied after the ink has been set. So I think the Staplers might overthrow the Fivevr microns just by a little tad. One thing I've noticed, the size of the micron is rubbed off the top, and I bought this in a cheap art store. So I'm actually thinking I've been sold a fake micron, because if you do look on eBay or the application Wish, I've noticed that they do sell these very cheap, and I figured that they can actually be producing fake ones from China, which I wouldn't even doubt that is probably a thing that's happening. Right, we are back. My camera just died. So as you can see, I got a few sketchbooks here. This is one I'm saving at the moment. I can't see the brand on this because it's kind of smudged down a bit, but this is a very thick sketchbook which I'm saving. The paper is very thick in here and they're almost card-like. So once I fill those 3 sketchbooks up I just showed you, I'm gonna start using this one and start putting some nice compositions in it, which I'm gonna use as a reference for future art. I really can't see where it says on here. This sketchbook cost about £3.50 and it doesn't have the most quality card in it, but I figured it does look like a nice sketchbook, and the paper is not white. There is a slight tone to it, which I'm a fan of. So yeah, we'll use this as a sketchbook at some point, and maybe once I fill this in, we can do a sketchbook tour of this. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for this video. I've been rambling on for a long time. If there's any questions you want to ask me about my art supplies, where to get them, please let me know in the description below. If you want to purchase any of these pens that you've seen, please head on over to Amazon. There's a link in my description. If you purchase any products through that link, it will help support my channel and myself, of course. But yeah, if there's any questions, please let me know. This is a cool pen that I've got from Paper Chase. Anyway guys, I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the description below. If you've got any feedback, please let me know. I want to constantly improve this channel. So yeah, this is my first like top-down video. Obviously I need to improve this. The camera situation I need to improve. And so forth like that. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, and